So now we come into the channeled words for May. And these simple words came to me actually weeks ago around the time of the total solar eclipse. I personally was just buzzing with all of the openings and downloads and information coming from so many different angles. It was very difficult to even keep up with the number of spiritual breadcrumbs that were just flying all over the place. So just sort of reaching out and grabbing some of them. I was coming up with all of the re's, this notion of words such as remembering, reclaiming, recreating, reharmonizing, rebirthing. And what came forward for me most potently was to remember. And so I hope I can do this justice. It was an impression, it's a feeling, and I'm trying to put words to it. And so I'm leaning into a brilliant series of articles that I found here that I haven't even scratched the surface on myself, but that I will leave here for you in the description if you would like to check out the work here by a gentleman named Scott Cloutier. So we're going to kind of use that as a template. One of the articles, the first one, which is about remembering. So I bring forward this phrase, may we remember. So as an intention, may we remember. Also here in the month of May, we remember. So there is this recollection, this notion of uh, gathering of wisdom, and then from the sense of breaking the word down, remembering something as opposed to dismembering something. So there's this sense of coming together to repairing and remembering something through what it is that we now know from looking at the past and allowing that to inform us here in the present as we co-create the future. And so I thought it was so beautiful. It opened with this quote that I'd like to share with you. We must welcome the future, remembering that soon it will be the past. And we must respect the past, remembering that it was once all that was humanly possible. And that's from George Santayana. So, here in this series of articles that Scott refers to as identifying ourselves as a collective, nurturing our homes, and building a new generational identity that he calls the regeneration. And he even gets into some fun things about boomers and Gen X and Gen Z, millennials, all of us, all the stereotypes to just kind of say, listen, a quick search will show all of these buckets that we've been placed in and compartmentalized by the generations that we were born into. May we regenerate, right? Coming back together through these remembrances. So there's this series of articles. This is just the first one for remembering that I'm going to touch on here. So it talks about first needing to really acknowledge the collection of many selves that we all are. All of the different selves that we identify as, whether it be our family self, mother, father, daughter, son, sibling, our learner self, a teacher self, our worker self, a leader, a loner, an adventurer, perhaps a traumatized human, being a close friend, a lover, and on it goes, because each of these selves show up a bit differently. And each of these selves is slightly different in expression of who and what you are capable of being. So these articles get into just really acknowledging all of those different selves that we are, and the notion that perhaps we could be many different selves all at the same time. Okay, so he's saying that this is really calling us back to the selves that might be harder to hold on to in this busy modern world, where many of us are asked to be other expressions by external forces. So, in order for us to welcome the future, to open up, remembering that soon it will be the past, right? And respect that the past played a role in being at one time all that was humanly possible, the sum total of the consciousness on the planet, summarized by that time in the past. So, this is deep, but it's actually so simple. and very profound. So, just kind of bringing in this play on remembering and all the potential angles of alignment. We can say remembering, remembering, or remembering. And I'm showing you here the different ways that it's listed here just to kind of communicate what I mean. So, in the sense of remembering, as far as recollecting something, right, in the context of sustainability and regeneration, you could remember those ancestors before you who lived in harmony and connection with nature, tapping into your direct lineage or perhaps others, people who are indigenous to the land that you live upon. And just kind of tapping into that in terms of a remembrance coming in. And of course, that goes on to talk about ancestral, sustainable ways of those peoples indigenous to those lands, to really dive in, to watch videos, to visit a museum, to talk to living relatives, different ways that you can tap in with taking time to remember your own ancestral traditions, rituals, and ways of knowing that support an alignment to and with Mother Nature. In doing this, we recollect those ways that are imprinted within you, just like the rings of a tree, as natural cycles of growth and being. Now, remembering as a second way of playing on this word, it can mean to gather, right? This is what I was feeling is remembering something from its previous form. So, have you ever been to an event where a gathering is included? Something like he's giving Easter egg hunt, dodgeball, carrying firewood, grocery shopping without a cart or basket, or collecting seashells on the beach. Sometimes we're asked to consider letting go of something or to make space for another. Perhaps you found a bigger egg, the perfect dodgeball, that must have grocery deal, or the perfectly colored seashell, but your hands are full. So, similarly, the universe in perfect timing is always asking us to let go of selves that are no longer in alignment so that we can pick up that shiny new self that wants to participate. So, the challenge of doing that very thing is being able to see the old self that is struggling to step aside and gather up the new self that wants to emerge. Doing so takes a connection with your intuition, to surrender to what is showing up for you, and trust in the process. So, this is really beautiful. This is about making peace with those past versions of ourself that we are ready to allow to rest, to step aside at ease so that we can create space for new selves to emerge. Beautiful. Then we have the third reference, a remembering. This is the other one that I was feeling. Third and most important here, this is the one that refers to wisdom. The on the outside is the bond of membering because it's a possibility, it's a potential to remember our wisdom. More importantly, the breaks the bond of remembering because all the wisdom is already within us. For we are of everything and nothing all at once. Any wisdom you see in another is a reflection of a wisdom that resonates in you. So even something shared that hits you as not understood and eventually makes a way for new means of seeing and being. It is your wisdom shining through the cracks. So take time to sit with yourself, leaning into long standing techniques to connect with your inner wisdom. He gives some examples, connecting in nature, bathing, growing your own food, land walks, shamanic journeying, and more. Like I said, it's a very detailed series of articles, so I do encourage you to check it out if you're really resonating with this material. But it really just was perfect to what I was feeling. So, just wrapping up some of these thoughts, and of course, this will weave into all of our messages throughout the month, I am sure. This notion of the three ways in which we remember, right? So, we have these three remembrances coming forward, summarized as, the gathering, bringing together of those selves that no longer that support the alignment to and with Mother Nature, and then letting those others slip away, right? The remembering of wisdom, taking time to sit with yourself, leaning into long-standing techniques and connecting in. And then also, of course, the recollecting, taking time to learn about the indigenous traditions from the land that you inhabit, aligning yourself with Mother Nature, and then exploring your own ancestral ways of knowing. This is something that's really been coming in. And I know from a lot of the sessions last month, from the energies that we've been in, this is definitely something that's been coming up with connecting with our ancestral lines, our family lines, the wounds and things that are coming forward, with this sort of passing on of a baton, this notion of greeting past versions of ourself or seeing in a whole new light family members, loved ones, people who are from our past, even the troubled relationships and circumstances in those family lines that are really coming clear with a lot of aha moments and coming to a place of understanding. So again, I could just go on and on about this, but I know I've really brought this forward for you to kind of chew on and marinate and see how it's speaking to you. And again, giving you the resource if you want to check out some of the additional articles as it goes on and builds from here.